Welcome to the last Bad Batch recap of season 1. I'm Kenjack. That is Robbie below me. That is Clem below Robbie, and we're here to bring you I didn't make the joke this time, all right? I didn't make it. I took the high road, but you giggled anyway. And now
You thought it.
About it.
You thought it, Kenjack.
Yeah,
I know how sick and twisted
it.
your mind is. You fucking ever since the TikTok threads, that's when I really found out how sick and twisted your mind.
Of course I thought about it, dude. But you fucking brought it up, so now that's on you. But we're here to bring you a recap of the final episode of season 1. A lot of stuff to get to, but before we do, just a reminder, make sure to go check out My Mom's Basement on YouTube now, because you guys are doing your recaps now of What If, right?
Yep, we got the first one up now. You could go check it out. Got an interview with Michael Waldron, talked a little bit about the Loki finale, a lot about his new show Heels, but yeah.
And we for the Barstool fans as well, we do a lot of the what if talk. We even bring up our own what ifs in like the MCU and even DC, right? We talk some DC what ifs, and then we're also doing some Barstool what ifs. So the first what if that stole the show was what if White Sox Dave was actually Red Sox Dave, and just the amount of different ways the world would fracture from that. What if White Sox Dave never came to New York, or what if Ellie Schnitt never did the announcing for that Yankees game and White Sox Dave did it instead? There's a lot of different ways. By the way, the answer to that one is coronavirus doesn't happen. That was how that's where we got to.
Yeah. You make it that you should definitely do the Red Sox Day, but also make Jared the what do you call it? The fictional debates Jared, which is Jared Cannabis, where he's like a pothead.
Yeah,
and that's the elemental shift there.
We said he would have the White Sox Dave beard that goes up like to his eyes.
It's up here. It makes no sense. It's incredible. But yeah, make sure you guys check that out. What did you guys think of that first episode, by the way? Just like a brief summary of I'm just curious what you guys thought, because I haven't had a chance to watch yet.
I thought it was so much fun. It didn't blow me away, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. But throughout the entire show, it's just like, man, like if this was around when I was a kid, I would be losing my mind. I had a blast with it. I really liked it.
Yeah, the best way to put it in terms of review, I said it was like a stand-up double. It wasn't a home run, but it wasn't like they didn't like beat it out to first. It was very comfortably a good show, and I just think it's going to be able to open up so many doors for Marvel where they can kind of even down the road, maybe once everyone gets used to their cartoons, they can do some stories without having to make a full movie or show about it, and then kind of do the like gray area stuff, like the hypotheticals, like they're doing, obviously. And shout out to the Bad Batch who kind of like. They popped my cartoon cherry for like canon big picture things, so it kind of got me into there. So it was 2 thumbs up for both of us. We really liked it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm on the same level as you guys, and for me, it's more. I don't love this animation style because for me as an anime fan, it's PTSD flashbacks of anime studios pumping out CGI anime, which for them is usually shitty. But I really like the storylines, which I think is more important here. But yeah, I'm in love with it. Make sure, again, go check out Mama's Basement. But we can now dive into our final episode of Bad Batch Season 1. We start out, we're right basically where we left off earlier, where the Camino's in the middle of a collapse, or Topoka City, or whatever you want to call it. They're in the middle of bombardment. The Batch is running around to find cover. The tower they're on that collapses into the sea, and Omega is separated from the Bad Batch. And the Empire Rampart's up there with this big ass fucking punchable face, and he's just kind of like watching, like, yeah, let's get on out of here. But doesn't realize that the Batch is actually alive, stuck down there in a little bit of an air pocket. You can see Omega, or you can't even really see it. Again, I've been using a new screenshot thing. Man, that's fucking dark. I had a light in the last one with like a big brightener filter. But
it was a dark episode though. That's not just your fault. I noticed that while I was watching this morning. I was like, man, like what am I looking at here? It felt like Game of Thrones all over again.
Yeah, quite a dark episode, that's for sure. Omega wakes up, finds Crosshair pinned underneath the rubble. You can see him back there, and they all kind of work together because they're separated from the rest of the Batch to get back together and escape and get to an air pocket. Oh my God, Clem, you got fucking.
Oh, you guys heard that? Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, boys, we got the Scarface fucking chainsaw scene going on again here. So I'll mute while I'm not talking.
Oh, okay. Wow, that came out of nowhere. But anyway, yeah, I was just like, wow, they really didn't like the part that they had to escape into the air pocket. So the city starts sinking into the sea. You can see it here. It looked beautiful, by the way, and the whole sequence of everything in flames. I thought, again, this is mostly for me and Robbie, but when to see how far the show has come just from a visual standpoint is insane. Like, that is gorgeous, right?
The whole destruction of Camino when they went up to Rampart and you kind of got to see it from like a really above angle was so cool. And every time they showed like the dramatic angle of it with that great music, shout out to the composers. The music in this episode is really good. It did you felt the weight of it. You really did. Even in the beginning of the episode, just getting into it, like you're like, oh fuck yeah, last week that was rough.
Big time. Again, this was even more so the end game Thanos attack vibes, right? Because it's like you get the water and everyone they're falling through all of it. I could have sworn I saw Hulk in the background. Do we have the Easter egg about that? Like the little Marvel synergy with Disney, right?
Yeah, they could. Who would stop them? But yeah, the city starts sinking into the sea, and they have to find a way out before they all drown. You can see there it's sinking down through into the ocean, which looked really cool, by the way. Like whatever these, I don't know what these little reed things are, but they look kind of sick. So they have to find their way out. It lands on the ocean floor, and they basically work their way into an air pocket, which is their former barracks, which led to like a nice little scene where they're talking to Crosshair, just kind of about like, you know, how far they've come since there. They have like that little thing where they have the etch with all of their previous mission count and all of that, which is cool. And you can kind of tell Crosshair is still not on board with getting back with them. He's still very much, you guys are in the wrong, which I think is a little bit of a precursor, right?
Definitely. But I will say, by the end of the episode, I think he had some regret in that face. He had some like, damn, or maybe I did make the wrong choice. But at this moment, he's definitely still like, hey, just because we're trying to get out of this place, I'm not fucking friends with you guys.
That's how you know the animation has really stepped up, is when Robbie can read deep regret on a cartoon character's face. That's when you know they've really hit another level at Disney.
Exactly. Yeah. There's the back and forth here, I think, is really the Batch trying to convince him because Crosshair is like, look, the Empire is going to rule everything in the entire known galaxy, and I am going to be part of that. And they're like, they just tried to murder you. They just tried to kill you dead and didn't give a shit about you. And he's basically like a submissive pay pig. He's like, I want the Empire to punish me, and just like he doesn't care. And like the Bad Batch is like, look, you got to get out. You're in an abusive relationship right now, my friend. You got to get out of this and like come with us. And he just has he wants nothing to do with it, which is sad. I feel bad for Crosshair.
I have a question about the Empire. Like, how do all these people just blindly start following? Like, I understand, like, if it's countries, it's one thing, but like, I guess, what was it before it was the Empire? What was it considered? The Republic?
It was the Republic, yeah.
Yeah. And then everyone just like switched the guy. Now they're following some dude whose face has got all mangled in a fight with the Jedi. And they're just like, all right, let's just start murdering everybody. Like, what the fuck's going on here with this Empire? I find it kind of fascinating. It's like maybe like all the dickhead, like wait. Robbie hasn't. Kenjack, were you like in corporate? Did you have like corporate jobs and shit for Barstool? Like all those shitty middle managers who everyone hated, did they all just get promoted in the Empire, and that's why like the Empire is the way it is? Because these guys all fucking suck from the top on down.
I think like you would be a rebel, Clem.
Yeah, I would definitely be a rebel.
I think it's very much just the product of the machine, because the Empire managed to like convince the entire world, or the entire galaxy, through fear and through propaganda. Like, look. Everyone's against us, but we are the Empire and we're the good guys. We're gonna bring stability to everything, and we're gonna fix everything, which is kind of like Hitlerish, and it's the way it worked out. Like that's why like we managed to make Nazi Germany essentially a thing. He's like, look at the Weimar Republic. They're destroying this country. They gave all these reparations to the Allies, and they bankrupted us. And like, I'm gonna make sure that we're strong again. And like that's like kind of like the Empire or the Emperor in a sense. It's kind of like the same parallel there, right?
Yeah,
you rule through fear and propaganda and misinformation, and making people think that you're actually the good guy.
The very loud, screaming in the Galactic Republic, that does have a little Hitler vibes to it. I love when Kendrak talk history to me. It gives me some tingly feelings. When you realize Bob didn't denounce the H-man just now, he didn't say a
again.
Word.
He's denounced.
All right, 2 for 2 on My Mom's Basement host denouncing Hitler. That's good. That's a strong start to this episode. But yeah, so anyway, they're back in this barracks. They have that whole conversation, and they realize that they're kind of close to the access tunnel that the Batch had used to sneak into Camino in the first place. So they realize, like, okay, let's get into the tunnel. We can use that to get back to our ship, the Marauder. So they move on over to the ship, or over to the tunnel, and they realize like, it's kind of cracked. It's kind of fucked up from the whole explosions and debris falling down on it. And they think, you know what, fuck it, let's just push on. Let's just see what happens. And then they get attacked by this giant sea tick thing. I don't really know. This is a new monster as far as I'm aware of, or a new sea monster anyway. But it comes in. It does look kind of like a tick, right? It's like that big ass body, the tiny ass legs. It comes in, starts biting on the tunnel, making more cracks. And AZ, the little robot they have, it flies up and it activates the power, which zaps the little sea tick we have here. You can see they're getting a little bit of zap. So they get back into Analysis lab and escape the tunnel. In the tunnel, we get confirmed something that we had thought last episode, which is that Omega is actually older than the Bad Batch, and that she was there while the mutations were happening. So, it's kind of like, again, we were saying before, it's not really like she's their kid as so much she's their mom, really, because she was there before them. She watched them grow into what they are today, which is crazy to think about, right?
Yeah, they actually mentioned like I was alone down here, whatever, until boom, you guys were created. And then in the Bad Batch, they have that back and forth. Like, what does she mean? She was here. And they're like, yeah, she's older than us. That little child is actually older than us. It must be weird for them because they're like, the fuck? What do you mean that little child's older than us? Like, we're the older ones here. We're raising her.
Exactly. It's really, really bizarre. And it's funny because in this whole episode too, like Crosshair is kind of like shitting on them. She's like, they're like, why are you taking orders from a kid? Yeah. Like, that is really their mom. Like, that's their mom telling them what to do.
My brain has been broken by I Think You Should Leave, which Ken Jack did a great blog on it for anyone who hasn't watched. It's just an absolutely ridiculous sketch show for people who don't know. And I could just think of like one of those characters. He's like, I'm not a baby man. I'm bigger than her. I'm older than her. That would piss you off, right? If he's this little kid and she's supposed to be older than you, I'll just say, I'll admit it. That would piss me the fuck off.
I thought you were going to say right there that when the Bad Batch were talking to each other and they realized that Omega's older than her, they're like, wait, does she know that I used to be a piece of shit?
Yeah. I used to be. Exactly. Yeah. So they figure out a way to get to the surface, and the way they're going to do it is by getting into the medical tubes, which they were literally born in, to now escape. It's kind of cool. That's a nice little, I'm sure, symbolic moment for those of you that want to try and find a deeper meaning behind our beautiful cartoon show. But they use the medical capsules as like balloons to get themselves to the surface. AZ, he guides their capsules through the debris field and gets them to the surface, but while retrieving Omega, his power goes down. And he has his little Jack from Titanic moment where he like floats off into the depths of the sea. It's a really sad moment. I thought that was going to be like our death, right?
Same, yeah.
I was both upset that was the like sad moment we were leaving on, and then also like being like, shit, they kind of got me. And I've known this droid for an episode and I was fucking crushed by it. I realized droids are basically my favorite part of the Star Wars universe. Like, my favorite characters are R2-D2, Millennium Falcon's in like the top 3, which doesn't have any speaking lines other than the movie we shall not speak of. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with my brain that I just love these droids so much? So that was deep, man. That fucked me up.
Yeah.
I think most of the named droids in the Star Wars universe are usually like one-dimensional good guys. You know what I mean? Like, they're always very nice and sweet. Like, the shitty battle droids unnamed are always assholes, but like like any droid that has a name is almost entirely good for the most part.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It might not be true. Someone's probably yelling at their computer right now, like, "Oh, fucking you forgot about blah 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 blah." But look, on everyone's face, it sounds right. So AZ powers down and dies, goes to the bottom of the ocean. Omega goes after him and nearly drowns in the process. And Crosshair, he pulls out the Yappa right on Hunter's head while they're on the surface. And I'm like, holy shit, is this going to be a bad moment? But it turns out that he's actually using the harpoon, and he pulls AZ up to the surface. Now, this is a moment where I was like, okay, he's turned, right? Like, he's obviously turned. He's good, right?
But he's not. He's still like, all right, I did one good thing for you. That doesn't mean I'm on your squad.
All right. Are we in the safety? Are we in the trust tree right now? Are we in the trust tree?
Yeah, we're in the trust tree.
It's going to be dark, but after the Suicide Squad, I think I'm allowed to like say this. I don't actually know. I think I'm actually not allowed to say this. Nonetheless, I don't care. It would have been funny if he shot Omega. It would have just been funny. And you think he's going to save the day just fucking right between the eyes. Boom! Gone. Or like,
you see her floating in the water to end the series.
It just goes, it cuts just as Dave Filoni. You're just like, what the fuck, man?
I tell you what, that would have had people talking, that's for sure.
Oh, and by the way, you're doing great, AZ, as he's fucking petering out. All-time old takes exposed moment right there.
Oh god. But yeah, anyway, he fires the harpoon, gets AZ back, and there's again very, very shocking moment. So the batch end up, they row their way back to the Marauder and have a bit of a moment looking at the wreckage of the city. And again, like, this is an awesome shot.
Beautiful.
Like, looking at this, that's gorgeous. I mean, and again, I cannot stress this enough. Insane how far visually this show has come from, because like I just recently just watched like the first episode of Clone Wars, and it is like there's 3 pixels in it, and like this is like so fucking cool and well done. It's amazing. I really like it. It almost looks like you're looking at a real life like oil rig explosion or something. It's nuts. Extremely well done. So they're up there and they offer Crosshair one last chance at redemption, and he refuses them again, and says like, look, just because I helped you, that's more about getting even because she had saved my life. It wasn't about me wanting to join you guys now. And Omega basically has a moment before they leave and just says like, look, you're still their brother, and I'm your sister essentially too. Before they fly off, I thought that was going to be a moment maybe he turns, but no. And this is like kind of interesting because I'm almost glad he didn't turn, but at the same time I wanted him to turn really bad. I think they kind of manipulated the situation really well for this moment, feeling like I think we felt something here, like we wanted something to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the end of the episode. It's the end of the season. Like, is this going to be a big thing? And then they snatch it away from you at the last minute. They're like, nah, we'll see you next season.
If you can't become a good person and join the people as you were literally drowning to death, because like you see in his face again, those fucking animators, they really nailed it. Like the fear of dying and drowning and whatever, the panic, and the fact that Omega saves him, and the fact he's still such a dick. It's like, all right, he's never going to be changed, because that's about as stark of a reason to change as I could ever think. However, I will also say this. I think Crosshair is just not the guy made the change, because you all like he was doing this the whole episode. He's like, well, that's what happens when you have a kid lead you. Well, that's what happened. That's why you guys couldn't have done this, because you guys aren't good soldiers. He's the dude on the road trip who just complains the whole fucking time. And we all know that friend. We all have him.
Yep.
I don't know how, like usually it's like a friend of a friend. The only reason that we run in the same circles as him. Those guys fucking suck. Crosshair's that dude. Fuck him. I hope he dies next season.
Wow, what a heel turn for Clem on Crosshair. Wow.
Yeah, I just hate that, where it's like everyone is down right now. Everyone's bummed out. And then you just have the one fucking negative Nancy just barking in your ear the whole time. It's like, man, we're all pissed right now. We're all hungover. Stop complaining. We're lost in the middle like Toronto. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get home somehow. And that's what that dude is. So that guy, fuck Crosshair.
Kenjack, can you go back to the last picture for a second?
Yeah.
The way that Wrecker is holding AZ is adorable. It looks like he's holding a teddy bear.
It's so cute. He's like literally holding like a little baby. That's so funny. He looks like Mando with Baby Yo, basically.
Exactly.
That's so funny. So anyway, no, I echo a lot. Clem, that was a very specific story that I feel like specifically happened to you in Toronto. Maybe. But yeah.
To be clear, Crosshair could have redeemed himself if he just shot Omega between the eyes. Then I would have been cool.
If we went full heel instead of keeping us on the edge,
one side or the other. Yeah. Don't be on the fence here, Crosshair.
Blue ball on us. So in the meantime, Nalase lands at an Empire facility. This is where we end off, and gets told by a Empire scientist, like, hey, look, the Empire's got big things planned for you and your cloning ability, which I think makes it very clear that she's going to be very heavily involved in the Palpatine clones, Snoke clone, or the Snoke invent creation. And it was a very, like, I feel like Galen Erso is the call out here, right? Because like Galen, and same sort of thing where it's like a reluctant scientist that doesn't want to be working with the Empire, but it's forced to. And I don't know. I think that was kind of a cool sign off. But I thought one more thing was going to happen. You know what I mean? I expected one last thing.
I expected more of a cliffhanger from this episode, or more of a like shocking. I didn't need to see a big character at the end, but maybe another shot at Tarkin and him getting to talk to Nalase or something. But yeah, Galen Erso is definitely a good shout out there. It was very reminiscent of that. And I thought even, is there a chance in season 2 they bring in like Dr. Pershing, like a young Dr. Pershing, and have him work alongside her?
The goggles made you think that, didn't it? Because same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
The Empire has big things planned for you. You're going to save the sequel trilogy by making all the shit in the background make sense to everybody and make those 3 movies somewhat cohesive, and all the fucking big surprises with Snoke actually make sense.
Yeah, basically, Dave Filoni has big things planned for you.
You nail on the fucking head right there, Clay. That's so insanely right. Just as far as like general reaction to this episode, I think this was like it wasn't a very conclusive finale. You know what I mean? Like this to me, like if you had inserted this exact episode into any stage of the show so far, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference, because it felt like a regular episode in a sense, in that it didn't have enough of a cliffhanger or enough finality to the end of this episode. It needed to be like, there needed to be a moment, and there just wasn't. Like, and like for me, like I almost thought like we were saying the whole time, like someone in the Bad Batch is going to die. That's going to be the big thing. And it wasn't that. Like they didn't even let AZ die. The robot who we've seen like 3 episodes worth of exposition for, like nobody died, and I think that was a little bit of a mistake. But what did you guys think of this last episode?
I couldn't agree more with you when you said that you could have placed this at any point in the season, and I wouldn't have been able to tell that it was the finale. I actually thought that immediately after it finished. I was like, oh, it was a very good episode of The Bad Batch. I would say it was one of my favorite episodes of The Bad Batch. But it didn't feel like the big finale that we were hyping up. Where are they going to leave off Omega? Are we going to see Boba Fett? Are we going to see the Emperor again? Is Vader going to make an appearance? We don't need these big cameos like we've talked about with WandaVision and Loki and stuff, but it definitely would make it feel bigger and more like a finale, where I look at the beginning of this episode, the first Bad Batch episode, the very pilot of the series, that felt like a big moment, a big cinematic pilot. I wish this felt a little more like that. That being said, I think it was one of the better episodes of the series, and I had a good time watching it.
If I had the technological wherewithal, I would take the Denzel Washington, like, whew, but I would just put Hunter's face on Denzel's face, since it's like, I fucking survived. Remember, boys, we thought he was, at least I thought he was dead meat for like 8 episodes now. The fact he wasn't really in danger, other than when Crosshair pulled out the gun, I thought he was just going to get fucking point blank. Like, if you shoot someone with a laser point blank, does their head explode? Like, if you shoot them with a gun at point blank?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's never happened in Star Wars, right?
Goes full scanner darkly.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That would be pretty sweet if they did that. But yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. And I was going to save this for the theories. I'll throw it in now because it makes more sense. My conspiracy theory is they had another ending planned if it didn't get picked up for season 2. And now that it's picked up for season 2, they had another one. Hey, this is if we get canceled, or they kind of are leaving us in the air ending. And then this is hey, they greenlit us before the season finale goes live. We can kind of just make it a little more of an open story ending, because it does. Now again, I don't even know where the report was that we were going to be like, what was the word, like sad or heartbroken by the end of this season?
Yeah.
I feel no heartbreak.
Zero.
None. What would we be heartbroken about? That
Crosshair turning still?
I don't know. He wasn't in the group to begin with. He was, but you know what I mean.
Is this some Paul Bettany shit where it's like, oh, you're heartbroken, it's season's over because you have to wait another year to see Omega's sweet face again? Fuck you, Bettany. Did that check. I was wrong.
Unbelievably wrong move by him. But I think you might be right on something there, Clem. It might be that there was always a plan to have a season 2 in the first place. It might be that they did this inconclusive finale with the plan that they maybe will kind of force the hand of getting a season 2 by not having a sense of finality to it. Either way, again, I think that's the biggest takeaway, is just that the nature of this ending makes it kind of clear that season 2 was more or less the plan.
Another conspiracy theory. We have a secret episode next week, and that's where this shit's going to happen.
That'd be funny. That'd be funny if it actually happened.
It's going to happen. One of these fucking years, it's going to happen. I don't even care if it's a show I watch anymore. I just want to hear that like some ABC show had a secret episode a week after the finale happened. I need a secret episode in this world.
It would be absolutely incredible. Just another note, just on reaction wise. Again, it looked gorgeous for the most part. And I had seen Joel Aaron, who is the director of cinematography, lighting, and VFX for some Lucasfilm things, including Bad Batch. He tweeted like, "Hey, look, when you watch this, turn off the lights and crank the volume because we did a lot of work on this." I did that when I watched it this morning, and it was really, really gorgeous. Again, this is like the 3rd or 4th time I've shouted this out, that the advancement this series has gone through, just from like a visual standpoint, is insane, and huge credit to the animators, because it does look so much better than it has in the past, and it's just awesome. Again, huge improvement, and I really like how this is done. Right?
Yeah, I want this animation style for like tons of Star Wars stories going forward. I would love to have the Bad Batch, and then give us a sequel era show about X-wing pilots or Luke's training academy or anything like that. Give us an original trilogy show. Like, I'm in for all of it as long as they got this animation style.
Mm-hmm.
They've nailed the animation shit. And did you see that? It was a clickbaity article, but I think they had asked someone at Marvel, could you ever see yourself teaming up with Pixar? And the guy's like, yeah, sure, if it ever worked out. And it's like Pixar and Marvel together soon. So, but if these shows, if they do numbers, I don't know how this did ratings wise or whatever, and if these studios keep saying, hey, this is a good way to advance our stories or get eyeballs or get subscriptions, more importantly for Disney, I think we could see like even bigger studios come in, and we get fucking whatever the fuck Pixar's doing in like 5 years. Can you imagine? I mean, in 90, what was Toy Story made? It was like they started in like 95 or something like that, or it was wrapping up around then. Like, I can't even imagine what they do in 2025.
That one of my favorite Toy Story stories is the one where the assistant director or whatever had brought a copy home to work on, and then meanwhile at the studio for Pixar, they accidentally deleted the entirety of Toy Story. Like, the entire movie got lost. The whole fucking thing got deleted. And then luckily, this random assistant director had gone home to work at home because she didn't feel well, had like a copy of it. And if she didn't have a copy of it, the entirety of it would have been gone. And they would have lost it all.
Holy. And then like those people at Pixar, they're awesome workers, I'm sure, and they're like the smartest people in the world. I think they would have been like, fuck it. And we'd hear like these rumors. There was this studio that had like futuristic shit, and it would have been the myth of Pixar instead of like the Titan of Pixar.
I mean, we've lost, all three of us have lost blogs or like videos or like boring stuff like that in the past. Imagine losing Toy Story.
Yep.
I've never heard that story in my life, Ken Jack. You just blew my fucking mind right there.
I just went and made sure because I was checking my because I was like, was it Toy Story 1 or 2? It was Toy Story 2, and it was nearly $1 billion loss.
Oh my god!
It would have taken.
Hope they gave the assistant director an amazing bonus after that.
Yes, fuck, man, that's crazy. It would have taken 30 people more than a year to recreate all of the erased work. That's crazy.
How Toy Story 2 was saved by diarrhea. That's like the
Man, that would have been crazy. But anyway, we can move into some Easter egg stuff for this. Helen Sadler voiced the medical officer. Just looking at the voice credits, she's done a bunch of stuff in Star Wars before. You can see on the left here, this is a character from Love, Death, and the Robots, which is an awesome show on Netflix that she had voiced. She also voiced Jyn Erso in Star Wars. I forget the name of the property exactly.
Is it Forces of Destiny?
Yeah, Forces of Destiny. And she voiced Lego Star Wars Rey, which is kind of cool. But she's done a bunch of different others. She did a voice in a Rogue Squadron and a bunch of other random things. And she's just a ton of other voice credits as well. Another guy in this is Ben Diskin, who voiced AZ. We talked about him, I believe, last time that AZ was in. He's done. These are all a lot of anime characters, which you guys probably don't know, aren't too familiar with. We got Bond from Seven Deadly Sins. There's Venom. There's some guys from Kill la Kill. There's Joseph Joestar, who's a great character. The Kids Next Door guys down here, Sai from Naruto, and I don't know what these two are, but I'm sure someone is very much yelling at their screen right now. But he's a prolific voice actor for sure. And there was an incorporation of the Fall of the Jedi theme during the Camino. You know the scene when they're running through the tubes and they're looking at all of like the baby pods, kind of?
Yeah.
So they're running through and they play part of this theme from when all the Jedi get killed in Revenge of the Sith. So I thought that part was pretty cool too. Did you guys pick up that little
I didn't, but that's cool.
That's a great song too. I didn't pick up on it at all. That would have, like, anytime that there's a kid that can die in Star Wars, that song should come on. Just
yes. That's another thing too. That you guys are saying, like, we just bring this animation style into more Star Wars stuff. Bring whoever did the soundtrack for Bad Batch into that as well, because they did almost, I don't want to say a Ludwig Göransson style or effort, but like they did a really good job in that similar vein of like incorporating the old themes with new themes, which is very, very cool.
Yeah.
The underwater escape is very reminiscent of Phantom Menace. I love this jacked monster, man. I need his routine. Dude, look at his arms. Look at those
arms are crazy.
He's unbelievable. Look at it. He's got these fucking Takeo spikes, traps up on his neck. Do you see that shit? I mean, that's crazy.
What's the dude on Baylor? Remember the guy on Baylor that like went viral as a meme?
Yeah. Oakland. Sean Oakman. Yeah.
He played for, like, I think he got drafted by the XFL, and I was like, the LA, whatever the LA team, I was like, that's my favorite team because Sean Oakman is their player. That's what that is.
Massive, this monster. He's the biggest fish, I believe, in Naboo. But the escape through the tunnel and like that same sort of thing happening in Phantom Menace is very similar. And this monster, I feel like, was kind of similar in a sense to the giant tick fish that we saw. Probably not purposeful, but it reminded me of it. I don't know.
No, me too. I had two things in my notes. I go, that reminds me of like Phantom Menace, and then also the whole thing about a monster and electricity. It was like kind of like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. It's like it knows that you can't get electrocuted. It's a little. It's my T-Rex right there. My T-Rex hand. He's just fucking touching the wires.
True. That's a good call. I think even some of them. You know what's funny is when I was watching the part at the end of this scene where they go up into the tunnel in the scene in Bad Batch. That is, there is a part where I was like, oh, that kind of sounds like the Jurassic Park theme song, but I didn't even put those two together. So maybe that was very much on purpose. That's a good call, Clem. So there's another part where I don't know if it was intentional, but the dynamic between Crosshair and the Bad Batch, and let me put this together for you. There's a one-dimensional good guys in the Bad Batch. They're trying to convince their brother to turn away from evil, and that brother is constantly going back to evil over and over and over again. Does this sound familiar to you?
Like Obi-Wan and Anakin, or?
It sounds similar, I think, to Thor and Loki. Do you think there's something there? Because that just to me, I was like, they constantly are trying to get this guy to stop being evil, and they love him, and they'll take him back no matter how many times, and he's just constantly going back to evil.
Now that you pointed out, I could see it.
I can kind of see like the whole batch too. Like I feel like they match different Asgardians along the way. So yeah, I can kind of fuck with that. We can flesh that out, and you just like you make it like true comparisons accurate, and everyone's like, "Yep, I'm sold. That's exactly what that is." So good call.
Huh. I wonder if you could do the rest of the. I forget what their names are. Thor's companions or whatever. Or I think they might just be called the companions. But like, there's the big guy that would be Wrecker. There's the Zach Levi guy. I'm not sure which one of them. Heimdall could be one of them too. Yeah, there's like what's his name? Like Flagstaff isn't right. It's something like that. And Sif could be one of them. I have no idea. Like there's some more than we thought. I don't know, but maybe not also. So we are going to get into some theories that we have for this. I think that if for our next season, Crosshair has to die or turn, and if that doesn't happen early in season 2, I'd be shocked only because I feel like our big thing that we were waiting for this entire first season after the first 3 episodes elapsed was like we are waiting for Crosshair to have this moment, right?
Yep.
And we didn't get it. So we didn't get anything conclusive really for the most part. So I feel like that we need early on in season 2, but I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I agree with that, and I think season 2 is going to focus a lot more on cloning, Nala-Se, all of that stuff. We're actually going to dig a little bit deeper into maybe the genetic mutations that the batch has, and we'll see more about cloning and science.
Yeah, some groundwork will be laid for the sequel trilogy kind of shit. I think that's where that's all heading towards. And I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. Crosshair is going to get that hair back because I forgot he had hair until I saw this picture. So I'd like to see him, and like it gets a little quarantine-y too, where he's starting to grow it out. Maybe a little fro out of Crosshair. I wouldn't mind that. He's a little looser now. He almost died. He almost drowned to death. Maybe it gets a little more fun.
I don't know if they have like hair products in the Star Wars universe, but a lot of them do have very nice, like fluffy hair, like Luke's hair in A New Hope. Gorgeous.
Look at Hunter. Hunter's got great hair.
That's true. Damn, he
really Hunter uses product. Like that guy definitely uses product. That's not out of my mind.
Oh, yeah, he's got something in there. I think it's also possible we maybe get a time jump into season 2 because I think it would be really, really cool to see like older Omega like grown into being like a full-on badass, and her having to like the role is kind of shifting where like they're getting older because they have advanced aging, and like her kind of having to switch to taking care more of them and being like more of like the alpha of the group. So
it's like the Ninja Turtles meme, taking care of Splinter and a lot. Yeah, I'd like to see that as well.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say. I'll try not to say it for any future season, so I'm just going to say it now. And it was messed up when I said it last week, but I'm going to squat on the take that Omega does wear Hunter's headband at some point after he dies. This take starts now. August 13th, 2021. I'm calling it. I called it last week, but I'm officially calling it for the future. It's now a forever take by me.
No, I like that. That's a good. What's that draft style where like you draft not a futures draft? What do you call it?
A dynasty right now.
That's your dynasty pick. Hunter dies and she wears his headband. That's a great dynasty pick. But yeah, I think I've had a ton of fun doing this. Thanks for you guys for joining me always, and thanks to all the fans that have watched along with all our reviews. We'll be back for season 2, I'm sure. And if there's another Star Wars property comes along the way, I'm sure that we'll be on top of that as well. But again, until then, make sure to go to subscribe to Mom's Basement. They got a whole bunch more shit for you guys, and they are much better at putting. And you guys have much better graphics than I do, so make sure you go watch that. Robbie works super hard on editing those. You guys are the best. Again, I'm Kenchak. That's Robbie. That's Clem. We'll see you in season 2.